The following program was provided by an independent producer solely responsible for its content. The opinions expressed do not necessarily represent the views of this station, its staff, board of directors, or underwriters.
Welcome to the Ring and All Other Sports. My name is Leo Connors. I'm your host, and finally I'm back live, and I have a very special guest, someone making his second appearance. It took a while to get number 2 in here, but he's back. Daniel Baker, also known as the Arabian Assassin, and Big Dog Wilson. How are you?
What's up, buddy?
Nothing much, man. Glad to have you back, man. This is going to be great. There's a lot to talk about. You've got a lot of stories you're going to be telling us and stuff, so let's just get right into it. Dan Bolio wants to know, who was the most famous person you've wrestled?
I wrestled the Bushwhackers, King Kong Bundy, George Steele, a bunch of people, but the person that I bonded with the best was George Steele.
Nice.
I even stayed in contact with him probably 7 months before he passed. So.
Right. Yeah, he was. A lot of guys say he was a great guy. Were you there the night that Matt Taven landed on his head?
No.
You heard about that, though, I'm sure, right?
I seen video.
Yeah. All right. Brickhouse Baker wants to know, who told you about the Yankee Pro Wrestling School to start your training?
I was actually working in a place that made reflective lights, and one of the guys that works there was a referee. I can't remember his name, but he gave me a couple tickets, and then I went to a show at the PAL in Fall River, and I watched it. And I'm kind of one of those curious dudes where, like, hey, I'd like to try that once. You know what I mean? And then I ended up hooking up with the guy that was a ref and started going to the practice places.
Nice. And who was running the school then? Spike?
Oh no, this is way before him.
Okay.
He was. This is probably before he was in ECW.
Oh, okay.
Brickhouse Baker, Scott Ashworth was there, and there was a couple other people that ran practices. But
right. Okay. What was it that made you want to wrestle?
Stupidity.
That's a funny answer. But was there anybody, like, did you just see it on TV and was like, wow, man, I want to try that? Or was there a specific guy?
I mean, I've always loved wrestling. Snooker was one of my favorites. The Samoans, Roddy Piper.
Wow.
But when I started going to the practice place, you know, the first couple days sucked, and I wasn't going to let it win.
Right.
So I just pressed on, you know what I mean?
Yep. Yeah, because they say they work you guys really hard right away to see if you have the toughness to come back. So nice.
Definitely.
And your stubbornness really worked in your favor that time.
Yeah.
Plus, he says, what is the best memory you have about wrestling, not wrestling, Brickhouse?
I mean, there was a few pretty good ones, but one that he always brings up is there was a match and there was some weapons involved. I don't really remember too much, but there was like an egg crate or a wooden milk crate or something.
Right.
And I don't know. Maybe it was something a fan brought in, but I grabbed the thing, I folded it over his head, and his head was stuck inside the milk crate. And like the boards were bent in such a way that it's like one of those Chinese finger traps.
Oh,
He couldn't get it off his head.
Wow.
So I had to turn around, sell to the crowd a little bit, call people stupid as he was trying to work the thing off his head. I felt like shit. I mean, felt bad about it.
Right. That's pretty funny, though, because you didn't expect it to happen. So, Maverick Wild. This isn't really more, I guess it is a question at the end. The Baker name means a lot locally. What does you feel like you've done to live up to it? And what does he feel he needs to do to continue to live up to it? I tried to explain to him that's your shoot name.
That's my real name.
Right. So he wants to know what you've done to keep up the Baker name. Mav, that's his name. Do you have any memories of Maverick Wild? How about we'll go there?
He was as far as because I mostly stayed with Top Rope.
Right.
And Joe Eugenio, the guy that owns it, or owned it at the time, he was kind of a stickler. Like if you worked for him, you kind of worked for him. And I was a little, I don't want to say naive, because at the time he had the most bookings and he had the best bookings. He worked with a telemarketer, so there was 500 plus people at every show that he worked that he did. We did the Shriners Auditorium, we did the Plymouth Memorial Hall, we did a lot of really big spots, and I pretty much just stayed there. I worked a couple Mayhem shows. Matt and Kyle was working for Mayhem at the time, and I did a couple shows for them. But other than that, Matt was already working other places. He used to work a little bit there, but he was already working at other places.
Okay. Seeing you brought up the Storms, right? You told me off air that you actually were a Storm brother one night. Can you tell us a little about that?
Yeah, I don't remember too much of it, but I think Kyle wasn't able to make it to a show, and I wasn't on the poster. I wasn't on the poster for that show, so I kind of slipped into the Kyle spot just card subject to change.
Yep.
Well, they wanted to keep the names on there, so for one night. But then again, when I was doing the Arabian Assassin gimmick, Matt was also an Arabian Assassin, part of a tag in him, and we wrestled the Power Company.
Oh, nice. Was that David Dean, correct?
Shitheads.
They used to wrestle all around, though, here, man, back in the day. I mean, they were, like you said, they worked for Joe Judio. They worked for Jeff Costa. I mean, I used to see almost every show for a couple of years. Or at least every other show I went to, those guys were booked.
Yeah, I mean, they were nice. They were nice to me. They were okay with me, but I wasn't a big fan.
Right.
Because they go over the match, and then they go over the entire match, and then when it's time to go out there, they don't know any spot that they did that they called.
Right.
And they were the ones who called everything. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And actually, when I tagged with Matt, I was injured pretty bad, and it's something that I still deal with today.
Right. Wow. Okay. Dave Forney has got a few questions. Dave wants to know who would you most like to wrestle? If you could wrestle right now, is there anybody that you'd love to have wrestled? Maybe in the past, or let's just say, like I said, if you could come back to wrestling for one match, who would you want to wrestle?
I wanted to wrestle, but we never got together, me and Dave Padula.
Well, that would have been good.
I could have picked anybody.
Right. Dave's a great guy, too. You guys would have had a good match.
Dave's a super awesome guy.
Sure is. All right. Dave also wants to know, what promoters would you like to work for? I have a feeling Dave thinks you're still working.
Yeah.
So we'll change it to what promoters would you like to work for if you were wrestling now? You know some of the companies that are out there. Would you like to work for like a Chaotic, let's say?
Probably Top Rope. You know what I mean? Don't stray from home. You know.
Right. Okay. What made you? We already covered that, I think. What made you want to wrestle? You already answered that from Brickhouse. So, Dave, that your last question was answered. The next question comes from Ken Watson, who says, who did you enjoy working with the most?
The most. Probably Jose. Jose.
So you wrestled him a lot, huh?
Oh, yeah. Tons.
Right. Great wrestler. Great worker, too.
Yeah.
And Kenny also wants to know, who was your favorite manager and why was it Kenny B. Dunn? I have a feeling, though, you might answer somebody else. Sorry, Kenny, I'm just kidding.
Want to know something? I'll answer that, and it's nothing I wouldn't tell him to his face. I was always a big dude, and I could cut a good promo, but I always end up dropping an F-bomb here and there, and I did it live at shows, so they're like, this guy needs a manager. Somebody that won't mess up.
Somebody that won't drop F-bombs.
That, and he always used to take the power bombs from Rick Fuller for me.
That's a good thing.
Fuller used to fold them in half like a wallet.
He didn't take the chops for you, though, did he?
No, I welcome.
Rick, man, his chops were killer. All right. Robert Fuller Jr., you know him? I'm thinking it might be is he the Tennessee Stud? No, I think it's a wrestling fan, but he has the same name as the Tennessee Stud, Robert Fuller. He wants to know, do you miss wrestling?
I actually do. Because of the injury from the power company, it kind of slowed me down from that point on.
Right.
And then it finally just put me out. So, I mean, I do miss it. I miss it a lot. I mean, I wrestled a couple years ago.
Right.
For House of Bricks. Me and Colossus, we bled all over the place.
I actually watched that one of those matches at least before your first episode against Colossus on YouTube. That was a good match. Did you only wrestle once or more than once against him?
Oh, tons.
Okay. I saw one match.
For a little bit, it was me, him, and Jose.
Okay.
We were all kind of mushed together for a while.
Right. Okay.
I liked working those guys because they really didn't pull anything. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
Everything was in there solid, and nothing looked weak. You know what I mean? Nothing worse than a weak punch or a kick. I'd rather get punched in the jaw than you know what I mean?
Yeah. You know, you're definitely old school like that. Your era is probably the last of the guys that really wanted to get punched in the face. I don't think most of the younger guys today really want to get punched in the face. All right. Andrew Santos. I have a feeling that you're going to probably go off somewhere and tell a couple of stories about this guy because I know he's a crazy kid when he was younger. Loved to party. He says, don't forget to mention BDW put over a jabroni named Andy Jax for his first ever reign as the Yankee Pro Wrestling champion. Do you remember putting him over for the title?
Vaguely.
You bet.
I've been hitting the head a lot, you know what I mean?
Right.
But I worked Andy a couple times, and he's an awesome dude. I still talk to him today.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, he's always on Facebook and stuff. You know, he started a group and all that. It seems like a great guy. I never met Andrew. I don't know him personally. I remember watching him wrestle, and I enjoyed them very much when they worked. You know.
That's the weird thing about wrestling. It's I don't know. It's so fine. It's so fine knit that I mean, you could not talk to somebody for a year and get together like it was yesterday that you were together. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I do. Absolutely. He also was, he says, he said something about a road trip on a weekend in Vermont. Can you tell us a little bit about that? Did you have any crazy weekends in Vermont?
Yeah, we did a wrestling show at the University of Vermont. Knobs was there. Redemption was there.
Wow.
And there was a few other people. Andy Jackson was there. Mark Chambers was there. Irish Leprechaun was there. I mean, it's whenever we used to go to shows, we were in vans. A Tremblay's van. It's like one of those just plain white school bus type vans. And as soon as we got there looking for the venue, Redemption was driving, and we were lost. I mean, I think that was the days of maps and no GPS. So Knobs was like, we gotta get there. And he was like, hey, pull over, ask that lady over there for directions. There was a lady standing on a corner with like a German Shepherd. So Redemption pulls over, gets out, walks across the street, stops talking to the lady. Knobs hops into the driver's seat, and he takes off, and he beeps the horn and waves. But later on that day, we did the show, and everybody went back to the hotels. And in the middle of the night, everybody got a knock on the door from Knobs, and he was like, hey, let's go. So we all got together. We went to, I think the club was Nectar's. Club Nectar's. You know the band Fish?
Yeah.
It's where Fish started.
Okay.
So we pull up. Knobs had his WCW jacket on, and it's just a whole group of wrestlers. And he walks up to the front, and he starts doing his little talk. Next thing you know, we're getting escorted into the place. Now this is shoulder to shoulder already.
Wow.
And they squeezed people out of the way so that we could have a table. And then the alcohol just started flowing. And Knobs was going up to girls, didn't care if they were with their girlfriend, with their boyfriends or husbands. And he's like, smell my Michael Jordan cologne. Back at the time, it was Michael Jordan. And he'd go like this, and as soon as the girl would lean in, he'd spin around and kiss her on the face. You know, a little while after that, some of us were standing on tables, and then we ended up funneling out at the end of the night having gravy fries. And I don't really remember that too much. All I remember is waking up in a broken recliner in the hotel room. Everybody says I broke it, but I'm kind of on the fence about that. I think I was set up.
Knobs probably broke it.
Yeah. He's not here.
Exactly. All right. So I kind of caught you guys having conversations on Facebook. So I took I wrote a few things down. Can you tell me about a brawl that was started on a ferry that had Sylvana Souza and Bobby Cruz? Were they part of some brawl on a ferry?
Yeah, we did I don't know if we did a wrestling show on Martha's Vineyard. The first time we went over just for a parade. They had this janky ass wrestling ring set up on a trailer, and a bunch of us standing inside like, this sucks. There was two dudes dressed up like fruit behind us, playing the guitar and singing, and we had a big bags of candy, and we were throwing candy to people. Well, we were tired of the people singing, so we ended up turning our attention to the two dudes dressed up like fruit, and we started pelting them like crazy with candy. Come to find out, it was the early stages of Nantucket Nectars, and it was the founders.
No way. You guys are throwing candy at them. That's awesome.
But our second trip over, we did a show, and I believe Bundy was on the ferry, and I think Tatanka. But me, Souza, and a couple other people are sitting in the back of the ferry. and I think Souza grabbed Bobby Cruz's baseball hat. I don't know. I don't think it was a Red Sox hat, but he took it, and they were tussling, and I think Souza threw it up into the water. Bobby Cruz, playfully jumps on his back, and then all of a sudden, like a garbage can lid's going into the water, and like a bunch of stuff is going into the water. And the next day when everybody woke up, we seen that JFK Jr. plane crash, and that they were flying around looking for a debris field. And I was like, oh, I wonder if they're gonna find a hat in the garbage can and the. Yeah, but that was pretty much that. It was a hectic trip,
Right.
for sure.
So Bobby Cruz was the ring announcer for Yankee Pro for years, right? Was he the ring announcer for your whole time with them? Or did you have any interactions with a kid named Sean O?
I don't remember a kid named Sean O.
All right, good, because I don't really know him either, and he's pretty much is a blowback from what I've seen him do and stuff, so I just was curious if you knew him.
Mostly Bobby Cruz. Bobby Cruz managed me a couple times, too.
Oh, nice.
I don't know, it was some kind of weird angle. But, it was Bobby Cruz and Rich Palladino was a referee a few times.
Oh, wow.
But every time, and it's a weird fact, every time that Rich was the ring announcer, I lost a tooth on that show.
Wow. That's funny. Bobby Cruz. Rich, in my eyes, Rich Palladino's the best ring announcer in New England. But if I had to go a second, it would easily be Bobby Cruz. That guy is awesome, too. He's doing a hell of a job for Ring of Honor right now. And he's been there for quite a while, too.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. So let's see. Okay, here we go. Any other? Like you said, you worked with King Kong Bundy. Do you have any funny Bundy stories or anything?
I do. You ever hear of the Big E?
The Big E. Yeah. Was that a bar?
No, the Big E. It's like a fair, like a huge fair.
Oh yes.
I worked Bundy at that place, and there was a ton of people there. And as we're doing the finishing, and we're doing the last couple spots for the finisher, throws you into the corner. You know what I mean? He splashes you, and then you stagger out. You take the bump. He goes off the ropes. Well, the referee was kind of a new ref, and he was in the way of him hitting the ropes. So he tripped over backwards over the referee and just kind of like landed in the ropes.
Wow.
So he got up. We had to do a few extra things, and then he did the finish. But I'll tell you, if you're a big guy, obviously he's a big guy.
Yeah.
Those splashes hurt, man.
Oh, I bet.
There's no clearance.
Right, yeah, no doubt. And is he as nice as everybody that I've heard talk about him? Is he as nice as they say to you? Like to you, you worked him, so
he was respectful. He was nice. Yeah.
Cool.
Whenever I would wrestle anybody from like the WWE, I never went all fanboy. I said, "How was your trip?"
Yep.
Just talk to him normal.
That's awesome. You said Jimmy Snuka was one of your favorite wrestlers. Joe booked him a few times, correct?
Yeah. I worked shows with him, and that was pretty cool.
Yeah. I actually met Snuka a few times, and he really was just a cool guy. Tommy Mack told me he was drinking beers with him. He said once he gets to a certain point, though, you want to kind of disappear. Once Jimmy gets hammered, you kind of want to leave.
You know who super let me down, especially from getting to go out with knobs and stuff? The Bushwhackers.
Really?
Because I thought those guys were party animals. And the first show I ever worked with them, they were reading a newspaper in the back. And that was pretty much their demeanor for the whole time.
Wow. I guess they weren't. I guess they were the bushwhackers, not the sheep herders. All right, listen, I got a whole bunch of names. To tell a story about someone, tell you they're a good guy, whatever you want to say. If you don't really know them, we'll just pass and move on to somebody else. I definitely want to get a few words on Joe Jr.
Joe was a good guy. He gave a lot of people opportunity that probably wouldn't have gotten it otherwise. You know what I mean? There are some people that have mixed feelings, but he was always a stand-up guy to me, and he's got my respect.
Nice. Okay, how about the guy that owns Top Rope right now, Steve Ricard?
Ricard's an awesome guy. Awesome guy. I remember when he first started coming around, he was videotaping for everybody.
Right.
Back then those videos were important because not everybody had, nowadays people could do a whole match with their cell phone. You know what I mean? Steve Ricard busted his ass to make sure, that people were filmed. And not just cheesy from a corner type of he got right up on the ropes, on the apron, but I think he's doing a killer job with Top Rope.
Yeah, I do too. I really do. They're great company. How about one of the head trainers at the lockup, Ryan Waters?
Ryan's an awesome dude. I didn't have too much like interactions with him, but he always nice to me, always fair, He was never a booker when I was there, but
he's doing a hell of a job right now. He's got some really good kids coming out of the school and all that. So, how about the late great Nick Steele?
Nick was an awesome guy.
Yeah.
Awesome guy. Back when I was running full with Yankee, we used to go to Nick's house on the weekends, and he'd have cookouts and stuff, and he had like 1.5 million chihuahuas running around the yard, and but he was an awesome guy, solid dude. People throw that around a lot, but Nick was a solid dude. You knew where you stood with him. He pulled no punches, and if you were a friend, he'd do anything for you. It's a horrible loss,
Yeah, definitely. I only met him once, and he really, honestly, couldn't have been nicer to me that night, really. Me and Sonny hung around with him afterwards and stuff at the bar. But what I really loved after he had passed was everybody was saying just that. It was like everyone was it was like one guy writing everything because he treated everyone so good, and everyone had so much respect for the guy, And I remember a lot of people were saying things like, do a shot of Jack to Nick, and I guess he liked Bon Jovi. So he would sing Bon Jovi at karaoke and stuff. But I definitely know it was a loss to you and many, many people. How about the Devil's Reject, Brandon Webb?
Brandon's an awesome kid. I don't mean to call him a kid. I know he's a man, but him and Teddy. I remember them when they were like super young, and not that my opinion matters, but I couldn't be more proud of both of them. They're killing it.
Oh yeah,
they're killing it.
Yeah, I was just gonna bring up Teddy Goods too. He really is killing it. And I'm surprised he isn't in NXT, honestly and truthfully. I thought maybe like after Biff got down there, like Teddy would be part of the next crew. It ain't over. There's still time, But Teddy is doing a great job, and Brandon Webb is awesome. How about Bob Evans?
I really didn't have that much interactions with him.
Okay.
Enough to, I seen him maybe 2 or 3 times.
Okay. How about Craig Costa? Do you know Craig? Yeah, I thought he's a little bit older than some of the young guys. I think he might have got into wrestling late because he does wrestle for Top Rope. He probably wasn't part of Yankee Pro, but I wasn't sure because he looks a little. What's that?
The fire gimmick. Well,
Yeah.
he's a fire guy.
Yes.
Yeah, I think I met him once or twice, but he wasn't working when I was working there.
Big dude, huh? Huge, huge. All right, Frankie Vane. You know Frankie? What?
Same. He came afterwards, you know.
Okay. All right, Congo? Wow. All right. All right, I got some I got Yankee Pro guys on the other side. Here we go. Aaron Morrison.
Aaron Morrison is an awesome dude. Awesome dude. He's funny.
I had him on the show. I had never met him. What a great guy.
Yeah, he's in the locker room, he's quiet, but as soon as he passes the curtain, he explodes.
Yeah.
He's an awesome worker, for sure.
Definitely. And he trained a lot of guys, too, from what I had heard. He's definitely, they call it the star maker, Aaron Morrison. All right, how about Berta Breaker?
Berta, that's Sandy Starr's son, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I wrestled a few shows with him. I got along with him, but I really didn't mesh with him that well. He was a real quiet kid, kind of kept to himself.
Okay.
For the most part.
All right, how about Sandy Starr?
Sandy's awesome.
She is.
Sandy's awesome.
All right, I'm going to go through some of the ECW guys I think that were booked at Yankee Pro.
Yes.
Perry Saturn.
I never worked a show with him.
Okay. Steve Carino.
I worked a show with him at the Bank Street Armory. That's the place ECW used to go to when they were making their rounds.
Okay.
It was pretty cool to be on the card with those guys. That was the same night Baker and Ash worked the Dudleys. Big Dick Dudley and the other guy I really didn't know too well, but I knew who Big Dick Dudley was, and they got thrown all over that place, down the bleachers, up the bleachers. That was a crazy night.
I would have liked to have seen that match for sure. All right, how about did you work any shows with Tony DeVito?
No.
Okay. Well, you just said Big Dick Dudley. How about Little Guido?
I did work a show with him, but I kind of kept my distance because I was too busy in what I was supposed to do that night.
Okay. Let's see. Gary Gold.
He's a good guy. He's a really good guy. He's very outgoing.
The Nature Boy. The Nature Boy, yeah. Gary Gold.
Yeah, I recently seen him. I mean, besides back in the day, I saw him a couple times at House of Bricks, and it was pretty cool to get back in contact and shoot the shit a little bit.
Nice. He's a New England legend in my eyes, at least. He really is. How about the Highlight Kid?
Davey is an awesome kid. Awesome kid. When I started, Davey was wicked young, and he was always trying to push to work shows. And I mean, he was a young kid bumping in the regular practices with everybody else.
Nice.
He's a solid kid. He's got a big heart, and he's an excellent worker for sure.
Yeah, just so if anybody doesn't know who the Highlight Kid is, that's Davey Cash. Correct, right? Great. Yeah. He is a great kid, man. I really like Davey a lot. And I like his partner, too. Dr. Heresy.
I love his gimmick. He's loud. He's obnoxious. He's the type of guy I want to hang out with.
Have you seen him lately?
I saw him at a House of Bricks show. It was one of the last ones.
Yeah. Looked fantastic, huh?
Yeah, he's drinking some kind of tonic.
Yeah, he's doing great. Good things. Doc's a great guy. How about Chris Blackheart?
I haven't seen him in a long time. So
Okay.
you know,
Johnny Heartbreaker. I think
did he go by?
I think that's Johnny Curtis.
Yeah, no.
Fandango, I think, because he's originally from Maine, I think. All right, let's see here. How about I have to bring him up, man. I know he worked for Yankee Pro. Robbie Ellis. And I can say one thing. I bet you he never wanted to wrestle you.
No.
He would want to wrestle the younger kids.
I definitely not in his demographic.
I had a few funny things said about him here on the. Yeah, I mean, I met him a few times. Nice guy. He was nice, but that's all I'll say.
Wrestled him, said he had a pretty stiff splash.
Yeah. All right. Well, you said you've worked shows with Jimmy Snuka. He must have brought at least once his opponent, the Metal Maniac.
Jeff is an awesome dude. He's psychotic. I love him.
Now he's coming. Now, did he wrestle there without Jimmy too, or did he always usually just wrestle Snuka there? Because I mean, he for a long time he traveled with Jimmy all over the place.
Yeah. There was a couple times that he wrestled other people, but it was mostly him and Snuka. They were married together around the circuit. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And
but I talked to Jeff probably a week ago.
Yeah, he was a good worker.
He lives in Hawaii, and he's always posting videos on his little scooter, scooting around with a mask on.
All right, how about I brought him up earlier. Well, you might have brought him up about a match, but how about Big Rick Fuller?
Fuller's an amazing guy, awesome guy. He has one of the hardest chops around, and both of my gimmicks I wore shirts, and I think I've come to the conclusion that if you don't bitch about getting chopped by him, you lose his interest.
Right.
So if you just sit there and take it. But yeah, because I would always wear some kind of shirt, he'd always do like the hockey thing, pull it up over my head, and then.
Yeah. I seen him chop Virgil one time at a Sparta show here in Nashua. And I swear to God, man, the sound it made, I thought his hand went through his chest. Seriously, it was crazy. How about Mr. Biggs?
Mr. Biggs, he managed me for a while. Mikey was an awesome guy. I didn't find out he passed away long after he passed away.
Right.
But definitely had a big heart, and he gave a shit about the business, you know.
All right.
Sorry about the language.
Were you on any shows with Dan Severn, the MMA guy?
A couple times. The first time I wrestled him, I was scared shit. Only because what I've seen from him before was UFC, and we went out. We started our match, and the opening spot, I work him into the corner. No, he works me into the corner. He does the clean break, and I spin him around, and I got to give him a couple chops. Well, I wasn't holding back. I lit him up, and then I turned around. I sold to the crowd, and then when I turned back around, he had his UFC game face on, and I was scared shitless.
I bet.
But he super light, and you didn't even have to give him any assistance with any of the throws that he did. He would throw you across the ring, right. And I wasn't a small guy either.
Nice.
And his finisher was legit a finisher, for sure.
All right. How about Slick Wagner Brown? Did you guys ever work any shows together? No?
No.
Okay. How about, I know he went down there. I'm not sure exactly when he wrestled for Joe, but Christian York, he used to tag team with Joey Matthews.
No.
Okay.
I'm not.
Glenn Kane. I know you know Glenn, right? What is he, the ref?
Oh, older guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, he's a really nice guy. Steve Langer used to run DDP yoga. Steve Langer is a certified DDP yoga instructor, and I used to go to it was an MMA gym that he was teaching it out of, and Glenn was there all the time. But I never worked with him as far as wrestling. But I would go to the DDP yoga classes, I guess you could say, with all of them there.
Okay, how about Scott Ashworth?
Scott Ashworth is an awesome guy.
Just listening to him talk is so funny.
That guy. Yeah, he was one of the people that trained me, obviously along with Brickhouse, and damn, I knew him. I knew him when he was still in college, and right now in the town that I live in, the town that my business is in, he's the athletic director here.
Oh wow!
I remember when he got the job as a gym teacher. So I've known Scott for a really long time.
Nice. How about Alex Payne?
Yeah, Steve Langer. Yeah. I worked him a couple times. He's a really good friend, and he's because I've been going, like I said, through wrestling, I've been having on and off issues with my legs, and he was like, hey, cut the shit, come to these classes. He helped me out with diet and stuff like that to try and drop weight. And, he's wrestling aside, he's an amazing friend.
Nice. How about our redemption? Derek.
Derek's a character, for sure. But he's another one that's in the inner circle, because with Top Rope, because a lot of the people used to work, I don't want to say exclusively, but for the most part there, all of us formed a bond that you can't break,
And you're right about that, though, because back then, Jeff Costa didn't want you to work anywhere else. Joe didn't want to work, because it's been said here on the show, like Sonny said, he would try to get booked somewhere, and they would be like, you're a Jeff Costa guy. I can't book you. And he was like, I don't want to be a Jeff Costa guy. I want to be a guy that gets booked everywhere. So back then, you're right. It was very hard to work other places,
If I could have done it differently, I probably would have. I would have probably met more people. But at the time, Joe was booking really huge shows.
Right.
Really. And you know what I mean?
Yeah, it is what it is. Like you said, you could only work at one place. How about did you come across the Egomaniacs, Mike Steele and Johnny Idol?
Johnny Idol, he's an odd. I remember when he transitioned from managing to wrestling.
Yeah.
He was an excellent manager. He got some heat. He got heat. And as I was departing, he was just starting to wrestle with a hood. You had him on the show not that long ago, and he told you when he started he had a mask on, but he's a awesome guy.
Yeah, really good guy. He's just so you know, I'm not sure if you know, but he's got a podcast called Idle Chat, and it's pretty cool.
I learned that watching him on your show.
Yeah. Great guy.
I pay attention to the ring and all other sports.
I really appreciate that. How about I don't know if you had much interaction, but you know Sonny. Anything Sonny? Any funny stuff? Sonny, good speed stories?
Just from online. You know what I mean?
All right. Now, Luscious Latasha. Did she wrestle for Yankee Pro, or is she too young for that? I don't know a lot of the women that wrestled at Yankee Pro when you did.
He was actually, if it's the right person I'm thinking of, her mom used to help out with the snack bar.
Oh, okay.
And she was really, really young, and she'd sell candy. You know what I mean?
I do know. I'm sorry, go ahead. I do know a couple of, was it Bambi? Did she wrestle when you were down there? When you wrestled for Yankee Pro? No?
No.
Who was Sandy Starr feuded with back then?
She was managing mostly, you know. Honestly, the only girls that would come around top rope were Kings and strippers, and they were valets.
How about Jimmy Allen, Trooper Gilmore?
Very little contact. Does he do the crazy chainsaw guy?
Yeah, yes, he does.
Yeah, I met him in House of Bricks.
Okay. I'm going to go through a few special guest appearances for Yankee Pro Top Rope, and hopefully I'm going to try to make sure I pull out guys that you were there for. Gangrel?
Not him, no.
Okay. Hacksaw Jim Duggan?
Yeah.
You wrestled him, right?
No, I didn't wrestle him, no.
Okay.
No, I didn't.
Coco Beware?
I worked shows with him, but I didn't wrestle him particularly. He was a weirdo.
I've heard that.
My personal opinion.
Did he have his bird with him back then?
Not the time I saw him.
Okay. Well, you work shows at Roddy Piper, right?
No, I didn't.
Oh, because he did work for Joe, though, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
The people that were around were Tito Santana, the Nasty Boys, Snuka, Greg Valentine, Tatanka, Sergeant Slaughter. I got a chance to work with him.
How was that? How was that working for him?
Well, you remember Johnny Idol talking about Kevin Kelly?
Yes.
Well, Kevin Kelly was doing a spot with him, and I was doing the Arabian Assassin gimmick. I had the hood on, and obviously, you know, he's like America. And I went to do a run-in behind him. Kevin Kelly was on the other side. They were face to face. I went to do a run-in. My mask was a little crooked. My foot got caught up on the ropes, and I mean, it didn't look bad, but I took an extra step as he was coming around with a punch, and he just smashed my face.
Wow. No doubt.
But that's my interactions with him.
How was Valentine, though? I met Greg Valentine. He's really low-key guy, but nice guy.
Yeah, he was having a bad day a couple of the times I saw him. He was going to do we worked the Brockton Fair one year, and I think he had a couple too many cocktails. And when he came to we were underneath, I don't know, this big, it's like this big thing with like a viewing box on the top.
Okay.
We're getting changed underneath. He went to lift his leg over the barrier or over the little rope or whatever, And when his foot came down, the rest of him came down with it. And that was the same day he was going to talk at a dare thing, and he was shit-faced.
Wow, that's crazy. I started doing something different on a couple of episodes. I'm a big TV watcher. I don't know about you, but like, what are your favorite TV shows that you've watched or you're watching right now?
I like a lot of the DC stuff. Flash, Batgirl. There's a new one out, Stargirl. And I like all those shows because once a year they all merge together and they have a crossover. And it's pretty good. But I like The Walking Dead. I don't know. I definitely. Oh, what's that? There's a show on. It's on Netflix. They hide money in the wall.
I don't know that one.
Oh, I don't know. I can't think of the name of the show.
That's okay.
But that's,
you had said The Walking Dead. You're still watching it, correct? Are you up to date? Like, I'm up to date. It hasn't come back yet this year.
The last I saw was Rick getting taken off in a helicopter.
Okay, so you missed, I think, a season, maybe even two. Did you watch Breaking Bad when it was on?
Yeah, that was an awesome show.
Yeah, that's my favorite show, big time. There's some pretty good shows out there right now, but I'm a big Walking Dead fan. I was a big Breaking Bad fan. The Wire on HBO. I really like that show, The Shield. How about what do you listen to for music? I see you got something Aussie in the background, so I take it you're a rock and roll fan.
Oh yeah, I got the Blizzard of Oz. I got the Bark at the Moon 18-inch. I like Ozzy. I like Black Sabbath. Pretty much that genre, you know.
Can you tell me a couple of your favorite albums of all time? Any, like, an album that you own that you play it quite a bit?
I just shuffle on the Alexa box now. I don't know.
Okay. What about movies? So obviously you must love the superhero movies.
Yeah.
But some classics that I like. Do you watch Quentin Tarantino movies like that? Pulp Fiction and Get Shorty and all those. So you enjoy his movies?
I just didn't like the Kill Bill ones.
Yeah, neither did I. It was funny that you said that because they were on yesterday, back to back on one of the paid channels. But so how has this pandemic hurt you? Obviously, you're a business owner and all that. I mean, and you're opening back up tomorrow.
Tomorrow is the first day that I'm allowed back open.
Okay, and why don't you give yourself a little plug?
Sharks Bite Tattoo, Main Street, Buzzards Bay. If you're a worker and you want to shine up those tattoos to look better, come see me.
Nice. So do you still go to some shows once in a while? Like, I mean, you did say you went to a couple of House of Brick shows, but are you regularly going to shows once a month, or you just?
I'm gonna start going back to top rope shows. During the whole House of Bricks thing, there's a place called the Vault in New Bedford. I've been to a few of those shows, but most of the time I don't sit and watch the show. I go in the back and I talk with people that I haven't seen in years. You know.
Right.
You know, this year by itself, you know, we're not here forever, and every year seems to be taking one of us.
It's crazy, huh? Seriously. I mean, and this pandemic thing just hit out of the blue. I mean, my youngest her senior year of high school was pretty much ruined by this, and now she's starting remote learning. You know what I mean, in the fall. So her college experience is all messed up. I'm glad to have you back on the show. I am ecstatic that your business is opening up again. for you, you know, and you get to somewhat normalcy, you know. I'd definitely love to hit up a top rope show with you. You know, meet you up there. I definitely would. I know I was gonna see you at the Hall of Fame inductions in the Fan Fest that unfortunately got canceled because I saw you there last year.
Yeah.
And I was driving, so I couldn't have you buy me a shot. You wanted to buy me a shot, but I was driving because me and my girls stayed at a different hotel than that place, so I could save $60. I'll never do that again. It was the dirtiest, scummiest motel I've ever seen. But it was too late once we were there, you know?
I got charged a fee. I never canceled my hotel for this year's Hall of Fame. And the hotels were open back up around the time that it was supposed to be. But you went to the one last year. I saw you at the one last year.
Yes. I went to the last 2 years in a row. The last two. I wish I had gone to all the others because Joe Bruin is awesome. And he puts on a great event. You know?
That was the first one I ever went to.
Nice. See, that was only my second, and I'm kicking myself in the behind that I didn't go to him before. I've known Joe for a little bit, and he does so much for New England wrestling, you know? We're just under a minute. I want to thank you, and we'll do this again. I want you to come in the studio next time. We'll hang out, go have a few drinks or something, whatever afterwards. Little puff. I don't know, you know. We'll do something, you know? All right, listen.
I needed a little, what's the word? Because the last time, those cameras are kind of intimidating. You know what I mean? And I was just staring at the cameras, and I really wasn't talking that much. So I felt like a jackass.
Well, we fixed it.
Yeah.
It took a little while, but like I said, I'm really glad to have you on. I'm glad to have met you. You're a good guy, you know. You've always been good to me since I've known you. Daniel, thank you so much. I'll talk to you soon, okay?
And thank you for all you do for independent wrestling.
Thank you, bud. All right, we're out. Peace.
The preceding program was provided by an independent producer solely responsible for its content. The opinions expressed do not necessarily represent the views of this station, its staff, board of directors, or underwriters.